Hi, I'm Kevin from the Rock Community Church. I remember in 2007 when we got back from UK, the thing that God put in our hearts very strongly was to actually start a student work like what we did in the earlier days when we were in Terengganu, when I was doing my housemanship, and then in Kuching, and then also even while we were in UK. I remember even in UK we were doing student work among the university students, Asian university students. So when we got back from the United Kingdom, we were very, very keen to start the student work. It's just that we did not know where God was going to send us and how was it ever going to come about. So in 2007, when we decided to move to private practice from the government practice, we were praying for a place to go. And there were many good offers from Kuala Lumpur, from Seremban, but somehow or other we had the peace to actually take up the offer from Sg Petani, even though back then the hospital wasn't doing very well and it was almost at the verge of closing down actually. But somehow or other we just had a peace in our hearts that this was the right thing to do. So me and Lian, we decided to take up the offer in Sg Petani, not knowing what God has in store for us. When we attended the church in Sg Petani, I remember with the charismatic church, we did share with them the idea of starting a student work. But from what we shared, I think we were not really taken seriously. And I think it's not easy for them to accept the fact that we wanted to start something very big maybe. Therefore, even after trying to start the work in the church that we were attending, we realized that we couldn't move on. So we decided and we prayed about it and we decided that we will still move out and start off a student work. And just at that time when we were deciding to move out and start off a Christian student work, I remember CSCN at that time wanted to start off a church as well in Sg Petani. But in our hearts, we never intended to start a church. And we were also a bit worried and not sure whether we are for it or not. So we struck a deal with the CLCN leaders that we will start the student work and park it under the church that is being started by CLCN. I remember one thing very vividly was I kept getting back to the CLCN leaders to remind them and say, hey, I'm just starting the student work and parking under the church, but we are not starting the church, okay? I remember telling them that very vividly time and time again until the last minute before we actually started off the whole work together or the cooperation together was, I remember meeting up with one of the leaders and telling them, I say, hey, look here, we are only starting the student work, okay? We will assist in the church, but you must lead the church and anchor the church, but we will be supporting, not us starting the church and you all supporting. So if that's the deal, then we will move on with it. So that's how we actually started. But God has different plans, and but God's ways are really higher than our ways. And sure enough, when we started, it almost started off as like as if we had to anchor the church, and CLCN was assisting. So initially it was a struggle, and I think I complained a lot back then because we were not ready to actually take on the church, at least maybe out of fear, and never had the experience to start a church. Starting off a church was actually quite scary for me especially. But I think Leanne, my wife, took it very positively, and she was like all into it, and everything for her was like right and smooth sailing. But I really struggled. I felt the weight on my shoulders. But I really thank God that CLCN did send in a lot of leaders and people to support us all along the way, even though it worked out slightly different from what we actually planned in the very beginning. And I remember when we first started, we started off at a semi-D. We rented a semi-D, and we started off free tuition for students in poorer area in Sg Petani, and we actually provided food for some of the students who can't really afford food even at home. So they come have their lunch, or maybe in the morning before they go to school, come and have their breakfast. And there are teachers there to teach them and to help them, to guide them with their homework, with their tuition. And at the same time, trying to reach out to them and their family. And then I remember along the way, a lot of people who came and assisted us actually decided to join us in this work. And as it began to grow, the students that came in, the number began to grow, and also the number of people who came and joined us began to grow. We realized that we couldn't go on just like that as a home ministry. And that's where we realized that God seen the future ahead of us, that there was actually a need for the church, so that the students who are being saved had a chance to actually progress. Actually, what really was the burden in our hearts was really to not only reach out to students who are not born again so that they can actually come to know Jesus, but also to reach out to those who already know Jesus but have fallen away, that there's a chance for them to come back and grow in God and find their footing in Christ again. And also to reach out to those of them who has been Christians but never really grew in a lot. So the main theme for our student work is actually not only outreach, but also to build up, to make sure that the students who come through with us throughout these few years will be actually built up both spiritually, academically, and that when they leave this place, they will not be the same the way that they came in, but there will be build up, there will be better people, and people who will be useful wherever they go when they actually graduate from this place. So initially in our hearts and mind, we were thinking of either primary or secondary school students. But along the way, we realized that somehow or other, a lot of university students actually joined us, because there was a medical university just very close to SB, just a few minutes away, Ames University. And from there, that's where I also took up a post to be a part-time lecturer, mainly just to reach out to the students there and have free access into the university in case we have to do student work. And therefore, as the church began to grow, then we realized that we could not use the home anymore, and that's how we landed up in the taman that we are in here in Laguna Merbok, Sg Petani, and starting off a church. And I remember the challenges that we had. I think the biggest challenge that I had was with the feeling of being very, very lonely. Because even though I had my wife with me to run the ministry, but we were the only real anchoring people, and having to run the day-to-day activity and reaching out, and then also shepherding the people, the born agains, the one that we have to do spiritual work with, the ones that we have to counsel. So it was quite difficult, and we were sharing our burdens with CLCN, asking for someone who can be here full-time so that can actually help us out with the groundwork. But time and time again, I remember they kept sending people to help us to share every Saturday, to share the message. But actually, that wasn't really the needs that we actually needed. And that was a struggle that we had for a very, very long time, until a time that it came to a point of time that I really felt it was too much for me. And that's why many a times I just felt like I kept getting back to CLC and say, I don't think we can go on anymore. I don't think we can go on. But one thing, God has been good, that each time when I realized I say cannot, God somehow or other sent the right people at the right time to come in and help us in areas that we needed help most. And I remember the first two person that came from FGC JB, two sisters that FGB JB sent, came to help us with a lot of the groundwork, and also Sunday school. That was a huge relief and a great encouragement. And subsequently, they also sent another 2 more interns here. For them, I do not know how they view it. Maybe it's just like training for them, but for us, it was exactly what we needed. So somehow or other, every time when I felt that it was up to the brim, somehow or other God sent the right help at the right time. And so there was never a time where we can give ourselves excuses to say, hey, let's close shop and move on. But somehow or other, God has been good, and God has given us the strength and the encouragement that we need at the right time, at the right moment. And that's how we moved on. And now 13 years down the line, I realized another thing is that every time when I felt like giving up, God just reminded me of the passion and the desire that He's put in our hearts and the calling that He's put in our hearts. And each time when we look into the faces of everyone that we are taking care of, the sheep that we are taking care of, the faces of everyone that has come through this program or whatever we've organized for them, every time I look into these faces, we can't help but to push forward and to push on and to see their life change, transform, and how they grew has really been an encouragement for us. I remember 13 years back when CLCN leaders kept telling me, say, oh, you have to groom your own group of people that can take over from you. I just couldn't see that 13 years ago. And I kept getting back to them to say, no way that can happen. We are drowning now. We need help. We can't wait 10 years. We can't wait 15 years. And I remember those people who came in some of them were only in either towards the end of their primary school or the beginning of their secondary school. We can't see how we can actually groom this group to actually take over from us or to help us out. But somehow or other, we realized when we were doing student work, God kept reminding us that the students are not the leaders of the future, or they are not the future generation, but they are the current generation. So most of our students, even at a very young age, we actually allow them to take up responsibility to lead in different areas in the ministry and in the church, at the same time equipping them physically, mentally, spiritually, and a lot of the time musically as well, to enable them to serve and to minister effectively. And I really thank God for all this that God has placed in our hearts and taught us how to do. Actually, a lot of the times, a lot of the things that we do not know why we do it. It's just that the passion and the drive was there, and we just kept on going and going with only one thing in our hearts, to see that these people that God has placed in our path grow up to be people who will love Him, who can serve Him, and who will be willing to be used for His glory and for His kingdom. And seeing these faces every day really just stirs our heart to want to move on and go on despite all the struggles that we had. And I remember there was a time when the bigger struggle came was when we had our second child. Family was very young. My eldest kid was just 4, and my youngest one just born. And then my work was getting very, very busy. And the ministry requires a lot of time as well, because there were more people that we need to train, and there were a lot of people that needs attention. And being an obstetrician and gynecologist, obstetrics, I think all of you all know, no babies are born during office hours. Most of the time they decided that they will decide to come out when it's not during office hours. And so that took a lot of time, was quite a burden for me. And physically, it really took a toll, mentally as well. And I was struggling for time for my family and also for the ministry as well. And it's very difficult for me to say, let's just concentrate on the work and the family and give out on the ministry, because each time seeing the people that we minister to and how they grow to love the Lord, how they grow to progress and to grow in the Lord. It really just pushes us to want to do more, despite the other challenges that we were facing. And I remember it came to a point of time that I was sitting down with my wife and said, something has to go because we need the time. And we realized that I can't give up my family, I can't give up the church. And so we decided to give up something at work. Really thank God for putting me where I am, because in the beginning I never realized how I got into this obstetrics and gynecology, because my first passion was always for orthopedics, wanting to be a bone specialist. Then I realized that when I got into obstetrics and gynecology, actually I can still choose to do only one part of it. I can either do gynecology or I can actually do obstetrics. I don't really have to do both. But the only issue was, if I give up half, it means that I will only be earning half. So I sat down with my wife and we did a bit of calculation and not so much faith, really not a leap of faith, more of a leap after calculating. And we realized that we can still afford to go on, even though if I give up obstetrics and gynecology, obstetrics alone, and still practice gynecology. But there was that bit of sadness in my heart to give up something that I've been doing all the while, and something that I actually do enjoy doing, and also something that is very lucrative as well. So at that time when we gave up, we did not know what the future was going to be like. But we really thank God that after giving up, we realized that instead of earning less, we were earning actually more. I do not know how that happened, but I know that with man is impossible, but with God, nothing is impossible. And that taught me one very essential lesson, that no matter how much we give to God, we can never outgive God. And God is no man's debtor. And that has really taught me how God has been our Jehovah Jireh in many ways, whether He provides for us in time, in many other ways, not only finances. And that was one of the biggest challenges. And I really thank God that I gave up obstetrics, because today I realized that we are earning better, and then we have more time to, even for the family and even for church. And I think for all of you who know what I like, time for fishing and also do a bit of farming as well. That's why I say God is no man's debtor. And when He blesses, He blesses beyond all that we can think of, beyond what we can think, beyond what we can see. That's the blessings of God. And it really overflows. And I remember after going through that challenge, then it came to the challenge of handling our church members as they begin to grow. And I remember we had a lot of challenges because we had people who have come from different backgrounds, who have left the Lord and joined us from different backgrounds and churches. And it was quite a challenge. But we still thank God that at every point where we felt that there was like no way of going on, somehow or other God opened a way. God made a way when there seems to be no way. And somehow or other God sent the right people at the right time to always bail us out. And we also thank God for all these challenges, because it helped us mature. It helped us move on. It helped us break through to a different level, and a level that we can experience more of God, a level that we can actually do more for God. And today, looking back after so many years, I would not have imagined how could we have reached this point where we can actually still not only do the student ministry, but the students reaching out to the students reaching out to Orang Asli, the Orang Asli ministry that we have been doing for more than, I think, close to 10 or 11 years. And now we have taken up another ministry to reach out to the Myanmar people as well. And there's an orphanage, a good seed home that we've actually adopted for now, and to support and to help them in ways that we can. And all this is not only for the church alone. All this I felt was necessary so that the people who come will learn how to give, will learn how to serve, will learn how to see, to open their eyes and hearts to see not only our needs, but the needs of others, and to grow as we begin to serve, and to grow as we begin to give. So actually from the beginning, I would not have been able to foresee that that God can actually bring us to where we are today. Many a times along the way, the only thing that came into my heart was, I cannot already lah. It's getting a bit too difficult. It's time to give up. But somehow God keeps stirring up the passion and the fire in our hearts. Keep letting us see how He has started the work and how He has brought us on. And we never got a chance to really give up, but to actually move on and to press on. And I remember now looking back 13 years later, actually most of the things today are not done by us anymore, are done by the younger ones, and the ones that we've walked with them for the many years past. Now they are actually doing what we used to do. And not only doing it, but they're doing it better than what we have done in the past. And I really thank God for every one of them. And I really thank God for the chance that He has given us to walk with them and to impart some of the little things that God has enabled us to impart into their lives, and that together we grew to be people who will love Him, who will serve Him, and who will continue this ministry wherever we are. And in those days, I kept saying like, yeah, I don't want to do already. It's enough. I'm too tired. It's too much for me. Having to take care of the family, having to take care of the business, which actually takes up almost maybe more than 60% of my energy, time, mind, and effort. Looking back, I really I can't imagine how God would have done all this. I just couldn't see. All I could remember was taking one small step every time, and I didn't know that we actually taken so many steps looking back. Even though we felt that there's still a long way to go, but looking back, we could also see that we've come a long way as well. And it's all solely by the grace and mercies of God that has brought us on one step at a time, one day at a time. Now I cannot say that I want to give up. I don't want to do a lot of the things, because most of the things are done by the young people these days. So it's no longer like whether I want to do or I don't want to do. It's like nothing left for me to do, because they are doing it and they're doing it better. And I really thank God for that. That's why I really believe that our God is the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Why do I say that? Because God saw the end from the beginning. He knew the end even from the beginning. It's just that I couldn't see it, but He knew it. And I really thank God for journeying with us, and also putting the right people there, people from CLCN, the leaders from CLCN, to journey with us. And each time when we were struggling, each time when things became difficult, they were there for us. Not only for the ministry, not only there for the work, but also for us as a family, as individuals as well. And I really thank God for the right people and the family that God has placed there to help us do this work. One thing for sure is that if you ask me, will I do this all over again? I would have to think very hard whether I want to go through all this again. It's been a tough journey, but if you show me the faces of everyone that has come into TRCC and or the ones who have come and who have left, and seeing how their life has progressed and moved on, I would have no doubt that we will still choose to do it again. But I would say that it will be good whenever we want to start off work or ministry like that, it's better to have a team. A team that can help you with the groundwork, a team that you can fall back to wherever you are. I thank God that it wasn't done alone. I still have my wife with me. We are a team. But just husband and wife sometimes can be very, very tough, very difficult. It'll be good if we can have a few more to form a strong team, so that whatever challenges that we have to go through, whatever we have to shoulder, we can shoulder it together. Yeah, but as I've said again, I thank God that our God is the Alpha and Omega. I believe whatever He has done is not an accident, that God has planned it that way. And God never makes a mistake. His ways are higher than our ways, and His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. And I really thank God for giving us the opportunity and the chance and the privilege and the honor to be able to serve Him, to be able to start this ministry and work and be a part of His purpose and plan for TRCC. I think it's our privilege and I think it's our honor. Thank you.